right, everybody, welcome back, and thank
Hey,
you uh for um for being here. We are live with the writer, director, creator of the movie Invincible Boy, Mr. Julian Park, and I want to say welcome to Gulf Coast Cosmos's first Comics and Flix event. Thank you for being here.
thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure. Love the
so,
comic book community, so anything I can
yeah,
do to, yeah.
thank you. I also want to welcome my co-host, my co-owner of Gulf Coast Cosmos Comic Book Store, uh, Sharmane Fury.
What's up, everybody? Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, we're gonna talk about everything comics and movie related uh, uh, with Invincible Boy. First, I want to ask you, Julian, if you could tell us a little bit about your background as a creative and as a filmmaker.
Sure. I guess it started in like high school where we had to do like school projects. They would be like, hey, you can do video, and it's like that was such an exciting medium. So I kind of always stuck to video. I did like some animations and stuff too during high school, but my real like foray was short documentaries. So I did a couple of those around the community, one about like a local artist, stuff like that. And but I love narrative fiction, and I've always been a fan of genre storytelling. So Invincible Boy was my second, like my first time doing a solo writing directing as a director and as a writer.
Mhm.
So it was a big risk, and but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was a very personal story for me. It was something that kind of stuck around for a really long time before it finally got made. So, yeah.
You said personal. So was this based on like you and your life?
I mean, little pieces of it. Obviously the Asian kid is like he's like a proxy for me, but
Okay.
but like every character in the story, I think when you write, you're writing autobiographically. So I feel like my voice is sort of in every character. But it was it's bits of my childhood, like being obsessed with like superheroes and um, that kind of stuff, and just being childish and someone saying you need to grow up, and those themes of like actually children have like such a purity to the way they experience the world and the way they feel things, that like that's actually a superpower, like, and love can be a superpower. Why don't we try that, like, as a story, like and plus
Yeah.
I also during my college years I worked in a comic book store, so I would see kids coming in and out, and they inspired me. So it's
Yeah.
all of that kind of jumbled together.
Hmm.
Okay.
So.
So, as a mixed Black Asian myself, the scene with the father and Barney really like felt very personal. Like I feel like an Asian kid wouldn't understand exactly what's happening in that moment. That we're kind of
Mm,
treated like adults even when we're kids, and especially the moment where the father says, you know, you can play later after you get all this down, after you become responsible, you can play later. I really felt that personally, so I was kind of wondering if in your filmmaking process and all the things, are you trying to play now in the way as possibly growing up as an Asian kid, you had those moments where you had to be adult too early?
yeah, honestly, I never thought of that, but that's probably true. I think you know anybody that's doing, I mean, even for you two to be doing this business, it's sort of, it is a form of play because you're doing something that you love, and
Yep.
there's a lot of risk involved, and there's nothing to catch you. But so yeah, anybody trying to express themselves through what they're doing um, is a form of play, I think. And yeah, definitely this filmmaking stuff is really, it's really crazy. It's, you shouldn't do it because it costs a lot and a lot of effort and time. But I mean, it's so fun, and it is play. Like when we're on set, it's just so fun. Like especially, I mean, this film was so special because we had kids, every day on set. Like, so it was like just getting the energy from them, and especially the little Korean boy Nathan. He was so hard to like just calm down and be like, okay, just look at the camera. I mean, stay still and do your lines. Like he was just like bouncing off the walls and. So,
yeah, I mean, how hard is it to? I mean, because there's like this old saying from like W.C. Fields. It's like never work with like animals and kids, because I mean that just seemed like the most impossible thing to do, to like wrangle a kid on set and get them to focus. How hard was it to have like this? Your leads are kids. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that's a great quote. Yeah, and I've heard it before too. And it's funny because my first short film before Invincible Boy was about a woman who falls in love with a hamster. So I had to deal with an animal. So I knocked out the first two most difficult things, on my first two films.
And you're still making movies, so that tells you that you persevere. It's good.
Yeah, the kids. I would say that Caleb, our lead actor, he was the perfect age. He was 12, which is the age of Vincent, the character. But he just had like this like emotional intelligence and this like calmness to him that I didn't really have to worry. I actually got to just speak to him like an adult, and I would give him direction, and he would take it in, internalize it, and then just, I mean, he's brilliant. Like it was really hard to find, Vincent, the boy that would play Vincent. Like we went through so many actors, and he was literally the last kid that we had. And I was like scared. I was thinking, I don't know how we're gonna find this. And I prayed about it. And then like, right when he came on, when we did through webcam, because he lives in Northern California, I was just nudging my producer. I'm like, this is the kid. Like, and, he followed me on Instagram, and I looked at his posts, and he's just writing all these inspirational quotes. And at his first post was him dancing to Michael Jackson. I was like, okay, like, anything I need is this kid has it. So,
I was gonna ask how you got away with that using the beginning of that, but you never got to lyrics, so maybe there's something there.
Yeah, no, that one. So we have a cut that we don't have. We have like royalty-free music that we use at festivals and stuff like that. But the online version is just on my personal thing, and I'm not monetizing the video. So because I want anybody to watch this film, and the whole point of making it was to inspire hope and love. So, but yeah, I just got lucky, I guess, with the casting. And then with the other kid, I don't know, I've always been good with kids. I like kids, so like I just relate to them on as people, and try to just talk to him as a peer, and get him to focus that way. So
a good close friend of mine always refers to kids as tiny humans. So that's the easiest way to like understand exactly how to relate to them. So you were in this film. There's a lot of obvious references to superheroes and comic books and comic book stores. Was obviously that had to be intentional. Was there and I also saw like a few kind of like pops of like superheroes like Spider-Man, and the dad was drinking out of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mug. Were there any specific superheroes that you were kind of subliminally shouting out to?
What's we were just kind of trying to cover all of them, like as whatever came naturally. Like when I wrote the script, it was whatever came naturally. What's funny is at the end, his father, he says, I used to read, Superman, Batman, and he says Black Panther. And, originally in the script, I said Incredible Hulk. And when Adrian came in, the actor that plays Vincent's father, when he came in to audition, he just improvised a line and he said Black Panther. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Of course, like it's Black Panther. So that was like an organic thing we found, through the actor. And what's really crazy is we actually shot, the whole film on the weekend that Black Panther came out in theaters. So like we were totally like jazzed. Like the whole crew was really excited about, like, that was just in the atmosphere of like, oh man, let's channel like T'Challa and stuff. So
all right.
Yeah. We took once we wrapped, I took the whole crew to go see it. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's nice. Who were you channeling as the hero inspiration for Vincent? I guess, and for Barney too. Which characters would they have embodied, if not in the actual type of character, but maybe like the heart of a character?
Oh wow.
If there are any. I mean, I could just be
I don't know.
projecting.
I guess I think Superman, honestly, like, because to me, Superman is the beauty, and so many people misunderstand Superman, at least in terms of the movies. But like Superman,
That's for the next show.
you know, he's the beauty about Superman is he has this power, but the power is his parents. They raised him, and they taught him good values and how to be, you know, to love mankind, and that's where his power lies. So I thought if we could strip away the powers and just have it just that, like the kid wanting to just do good, maybe that's enough. And so that's why he has, like, in the poster, or his color theme is, with his clothing, it's blue and red.
Right.
And Barney, I don't know, I didn't really think, I mean, we did green because it pops, and that's my personal favorite color, so he sort of represents me. But I think a little bit of the Flash, like we kind of found that on set, because Barney, or the kid Nathan, he was really into the Flash, and he kept talking about him, like, because he was really into the TV show at the time. Right. And then and he's so high energy. It's like, of course, like I think that's what, you know, he's bouncing off the walls all the time, and I think that fits that. So.
Well, definitely the Flash. Okay. Yeah. I just want to say something. Sharmane and I were talking earlier as we were getting ready to start, and she mentioned something, and I want her to ask this question because it is such a good question. Maybe you remember?
I do remember. And this is just dating back to a million years ago, back when I did go to film school before I became a HR manager. I noticed that
you still make films.
I mean, my most recent one was a couple years ago, but we'll eventually get back into that realm. But for you, anyways, I noticed one thing that you did that struck me as both a pretty necessary thing for a comic book or an action movie, but also I guess it can even pop up in horror. There's always a training montage, and there's always a research section, and I'm assuming for time you may have combined research and training into one thing. And also the Vincent physical montage was adorable, given that he's just a little boy. But I was kind of wondering, like, the thought process behind it, and just, is that just the natural progression of trying to get everybody up on speed because you only got 20 minutes to tell this story, or how exactly was that crafted?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of you know, me making this film is kind of foolish, because I was trying to cram a lot of story into, you know, a short film, and usually with the shorts you have to do a couple of scenes, and then, like, you can't really, a lot of people told me don't make this thing. When I sent the script around, people are saying it's going to cost too much. But yeah, the montage is definitely a way to quickly show a lot, and it is a trope in genre filmmaking, like especially with superheroes, like I think the Sam Raimi, the first Spider-Man, that has a great montage of him not only creating the costume and becoming the character, but like saving people and stuff like that. So I drew a lot of inspiration from that, and it's just fun, like, to, you know, put a cool track on and just like enjoy. To me, that's the good stuff, you know, like, yeah, that's the fun stuff. So I just wanted to indulge in that a little bit. So yeah.
I mean, it felt like a pretty complete, like, even in 20 minutes, the fact that you hit a lot of the notes that you get out of superhero movies. You know, you have the moment of, you know, an outside aspect is the reason why the hero begins to doubt themselves, and then it's also an outside thing that actually makes them look internally to get themselves back into it. So, like, I really feel like it didn't feel crammed. It didn't feel like you were trying to force all of the tropes into a short film. Like, it did have a natural progression, so I was excited to see it. And it is actually pretty amazing that you were able to do it with a child actor. He seemed to he looked like a kid that was an old person trapped in a kid's body. Like, he seemed to approach his scenes very thoughtfully and with weight, and I was really appreciative of his skill. So the fact that you found him,
Oh
like,
yeah.
good job. Good
Yeah,
job in finding that kid. He did
yeah.
such a good job.
It was a real blessing. His mom was an amazing woman too. Just, I mean, I did when we first released the film, I did like an Instagram post for every single like crew member, and I did a thing on his mom. Like, she was just such a strong woman who, they're from Northern California. They drove down, and she didn't sleep I didn't sleep the whole night before the first shoot day, and she didn't either. So I said, "How you doing?" She's like, "I haven't slept all night." I'm like, "Okay." And then we hugged each other, like, we'll get through this. And she told me that she,
Hugging for strength.
yeah, she served in the Navy. So I was like, okay,
Oh wow.
you got some different strength that you're pulling from, not only to, do this, but to support your son in this like really risky endeavor of being an actor, and especially a child actor.
Right.
So yeah, thank you for saying all those things. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
I mean, and from what we see in the film, I mean, it just there to me there are some films that just that grow on you in time, and then there are some films that just grab you right away.
Right.
And I would say that within the first 2 minutes of me watching this, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is so good." I mean, it was so big. Did you? I mean, what were your expectations in making this?
Yeah, I'm. That's awesome that you felt that, but I specifically, I know that like with the short film, it's really hard to, hold people's attention, because it's like, for some reason, it's just like, oh, it's something, it's an original idea. You have no idea what it's about. So it's like, you really got to grab them at the beginning and hook them. So, and I know that's how they do it in, a lot of my favorite films. They have a really cool opening. So
Yeah.
I was like adamant that like, yeah, okay, first thing we got to like get into their world, in their headspace as the imagination of a child, and just have fun. And yeah, that sequence was really crazy when I first wrote it. It was like it taking place in the middle of the street with all these cars, and like, oh, we could do this, man. I was like, all right, we figured it out. But and I'm still happy with it. So yeah, I try to, like, the whole thing about storytelling, especially with filmmaking, is you're taking somebody on a ride, and you never want to stop long enough where they get bored and they want to get off the ride. So
Right.
you got to just keep the momentum going. And for me, that was really key in how I placed each scene one after another. It's like I got to maintain the momentum, keep people interested, but still put some weight into what I'm trying to say to the characters.
There was so much, and it was just the right blend of everything in this film. The special effects, the effects, starting with the rocket booster in the back, and the helmet screen. That was so cool. So what was that the process like for the effects? What was your intention with all of that?
The lesser quote from W.C. Fields: "Never work with children, animals, or special effects in a short film your first time on screen."
Yeah. Man, yeah. I had never really done special effect, like visual effects. So that was another. So for me, I just wanted to, challenge myself as an artist, like do a bunch of things that make you uncomfortable and you don't know how to do. That's how you're going to grow. Like always challenge yourself. So I didn't know anything about that stuff. I just knew a guy. Like I met a guy at a party like years ago, and he told me he did visual effects, and I saved his number. So I just called him up. I'm like, hey man, like I'm trying to do this, and he's like, he didn't remember me from the party. He was like, let's meet up. And then he saw like my other like documentaries and stuff, and he saw like where my heart was, and that was crazy because he really connected with that. And that was a beautiful thing about this project is like everybody that came on, they had this like joined love. Like it was like a thing that we all recognized in each other and why we're wanting to make this project. It's like so like everyone just had that energy that they brought to set. But he was really cool guy. Bo McCombs, that's shout out to him. Like he he really taught me everything on what to do. And I made sure, and I'm telling this to any young filmmaker that wants to do VFX, consult with the VFX guy as early as you can. Don't wait till after you shoot, because he was on set. He helped us. Like, I asked him, how do we make this little rocket thing? And he said, you got to build this kind of thing. So I built it with my buddy, and then yeah, and he was like, okay, that's good. That just add some stickers to it. So like, you just got to include them as early on in the process as you can, just to, make sure you.
That's a good tip to know, because usually when you think of anything like visual effects or sound effect, you think of it as something in post. But you're saying that rather than just wait until post, this is something that you want to make sure that that person is there to make sure that it will make sense in the end.
Yeah, he's making sure, he's checking the monitor while we're filming, making sure, okay, I can work with that, like, or I can't work with that, like, do another take because we need this and that in the frame, stuff like that. So, yeah.
All right. What was the hardest thing in the production of Invincible Boy? What was the hardest thing in the overall production that you had to do?
Man, I think overall, just pulling it off, given the schedule that we had, like, and honestly, that's why so many people, when I sent them the script, they just said no, because they're like, there's no, like, how are you going to do this? Like, there's just too many scenes in too many locations and too many characters. And we just, thank God I had one guy, Dan Marcus, my producer, he read it. He's a huge, I mean, you think I'm a huge comic book nerd? I'm wearing a Spider-Man shirt today, by the way, just but if I'm a huge comic book nerd, and he's like even worse, like he's really into comics, and he just read the script and he's like, I have to do this. Like, he believed in it so much. And I think having that is more powerful than any other wisdom or experience, because we were two foolish guys going into this. And I think because we were foolish and naive, just like Vincent, the character, we made it happen. Like, we didn't think it was impossible. And like, but yeah, in terms of just scheduling all the locations and the actors and getting it was just that, making sure we got all our shots was just really stressful. But thank God we pulled it off.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think when I was a kid, I gravitated towards comics because of that idea of the sense of justice that you kind of get from getting a chance to read comics. And where I grew up, there were times when, you would see people that weren't doing right and you didn't know how to get them to do right. It was like a frustration point as a kid, especially when you're a kid and you don't feel strong enough to be able to convince people to do right, or that, you even know enough for them to listen to you. And I got that sense in watching this movie too, that this is this desire to be good and do good, but also wanting other people to do good, because you do lose a little bit of hope and faith when you don't see everybody around you participating in it, which I think was really clear in your story. Did you have that? Was that kind of a motivating factor in writing a story like this? I mean, we do tend to make films based off of what we know or what we feel, and you're telling this as sort of a throwback to your childhood. Did you have moments like that of trying to be a hero and finding that wasn't easy or possible?
Definitely, yeah. I think like the whole thing of, if you are into all this stuff, that as we are, like, you want to see it reflected in the world. Like, you want, I mean, even as creators, like, we create, like, in a way to make our like dreams a reality, and we see just so much injustice, and we just want to bring healing, I think. So yeah, I definitely, and it's not just a childhood thing. I mean, it's still something I feel now. So
sure,
like,
absolutely.
Wanting to be good and struggling so hard, every day it's a struggle, like, but you got to keep fighting, and loving others. So yeah.
I like the choice of the everyday hero element. Like, we open the film with this fantasy sequence and we're seeing this special effects and everything like that, but really making a peanut butter jelly sandwich and having an apple for a homeless guy, that's a hero move for a day. That's everyday hero stuff. Even in the scene on the bus with the man having what I assume was like a Tourette's type of outburst or something like that. I've seen things like that happen in real life too. Just the old lady just being a comfort, like a real everyday hero type of move. And I don't think we give enough credit to sort of those everyday actions as being a real superhero. So I love that for Vincent, it wasn't this huge, like, flying in and rescuing a whole bunch of people moment necessarily that got him back on track. That it really was just a bit of kindness and a gentle touch that was the difference between something going really south and something resolving. I really think it was a smart choice, and I just appreciated that. Like as Byron said, it grabs you so quickly, but as the moments are going on, something else, it's very much led with heart. You can feel that it's very much led with heart, and I think that is the sweetest part of hero-dom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why we got to remember that. We got to remember that. I think now we're kind of spoiled with the proliferation of so much, comic book / superhero genre filmmaking, that they're getting caught up in the spectacle of it, but it's like, what is the heart of why these stories were created in the first place? Why do we create these heroes? Like going far back as like Greek mythology or whatever. Like we aspire for greatness and justice. And that's my jam. I'm so glad you highlighted that. Like everyday kindness, the small stuff, that is my jam. Like that is awesome. That the small little hidden things that regular people are not gonna shine a light on. Like like that's awesome to me, like so cool. And and then the grandma thing was actually inspired by, I read an article in like the BBC. It was a woman on the underground, their rail system there. Something similar happened where someone was freaking out, and she all she did was hold him and give that human touch, and she calmed him down. So
sweet.
So what is next for Julian Park?
I'm actually been writing ever since the beginning of the year with a buddy of mine. We're doing a fiction podcast, but
nice.
I can't tell you what it is. It's like it's coming out. It'll come out next year, but so it's different fiction. Like it's purely audio. My jam is I love film, but this is a new thing for me. I'm trying, and he asked me to help him out in writing it, and it's another personal thing, but there's that. And I definitely want to do another film. I have a short film that I wrote. It's about personal relationships and the drama there. Very, very short. I learned my mistakes from Invincible Boy. Do something small contained with 2 characters in a room. And that's basically, and that's a challenge for me. Like, what can I do with minimalistic, nothing, and make drama out of that? So I'm trying to do that, and that's gonna be based on just my own me and my girlfriend. So, so yeah. So I'm working on those things and some other things, but doing a lot of writing. I think right now I don't know what to how to, like, a lot of people are questioning how to proceed, given the quarantine, and COVID. So it's when you're waiting, you can just still be productive and prepare. Always prepare. So write or
Okay. And this just popped into my head. One of the things that was that a real comic book store that you guys shot in?
Yes. Yeah, it was it's called Comic Bug. They have a couple locations in LA.
I knew it was familiar, but I could not name it because I'm in West LA, and I was like, I know I've seen this thing before.
You are? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That's the one on Manhattan Beach Boulevard, I think. But they have one in Culver City. So, and I know Tim Miller, the director of like Deadpool. That's the Culver City Comic Book. That's his comic book store. So if you go in there, you might run into him. But I mean, right now, obviously, they're probably closed or something. But but yeah, Comic Bug. Shout out to them. They were very generous with. I mean, their store is gorgeous. It's huge, and they have like a table in the back for the community to use for like podcasting, and they have game nights and all kinds of stuff. And it's such a big store. When we went in there, I was like, this is gorgeous, and I love how they have a couch and all this stuff. But I don't know if they're gonna let us. And then we just asked them, and they were like, oh, of course you guys can, And they were just so supportive, and I was just like, wow, like thank you so much. Like that was it was awesome. Like
and how many days did you shoot in there?
That was just one day. It was the last day.
So, oh wow! Oh
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And it was beautiful because it was the last day. We wrapped, and like it was, and it started hailing, and there was a rainbow that came out. It was a beautiful day, and since it was the last day, like Caleb was leaving to NorCal, and everyone was done. I told the two boys, like, whatever you want, you pick one book, and I'll get it for you. And Caleb picked a huge omnibus of like Black Panther, and because he was just starting to get into the character because the movie just came out. So
right.
He got all into it. And rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman.
Caleb
did a nice tribute on his Instagram, so, and he included that book and his mask. But
wow.
But yeah.
Wow. All right. So, quick question, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, but I have 3 quick questions for you. One, who is your favorite superhero?
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, he was my favorite in my whole childhood. Like,
yes.
I remember in 4th grade, I wanted to be a photographer just because Peter Parker was a photographer. But like, he was my favorite up until
comics in real life. How many times have I said comics in real life parallel?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. But up until I became the middle of my college years, that's when I was working at the comic book store, and I discovered like Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman, and some of my friends started telling me about like, hey, actually you should look into Superman. He's actually, misrepresented a lot of times in the media, and so I started reading his books, and I really got into it. And I'm like, you know what? Like now as a grown man, like this is my guy. Like I love this guy. Like he is so cool, and we need more of him. So
right. So next question: who is your favorite super villain?
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah, that'll make you think for a bit.
Yeah, I would say, when I was obsessed with Spider-Man, Doc Ock. I love Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus. I always thought he was a interesting villain. I just love, just honestly, from a kid's level, like Spidey fighting a dude with, 4 metallic arms is always like cool.
Right.
But he was very intelligent, but I think, dang, that's such a good question. There's too many. Maybe a Riddler. I like the Riddler. I like villains that mess with.
You like smart guys. You like the smart.
Yeah, smart. I like the guys that mess with
smart villain.
Yeah, that mess with the mind. It's like when Batman is like struggling with him. It's like, what am I gonna do? Like trying to figure out. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. And last question.
What about you guys? I would love to hear you guys' things.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. Last question is: what was the last comic book you read?
Last comic book I read, Paper Girls. Yeah, I'm kind of late on that, but
I need to read that too. It's on my list, and I haven't read it yet. Good.
Paper Girls, yeah.
All right.
Well, that's a comic book / so I don't know if you were looking for more superhero type. But,
no. If it's comic, then yeah. If it's comic book, yes, absolutely.
Really cool stuff. Beautiful artwork.
Cool. All right, so Manny, your turn. What is your favorite superhero?
It goes in waves. It almost always gets back into Wakanda though. So Black Panther has been the one that has been a big player in my life. But I come to comics, I start to see myself represented in comics, which is actually something I also appreciate that you have a multi-ethnic cast too, because I'm a mixed race person, and yet you hit almost all of my things. Awesome. But for me, seeing Storm for the first time was a big deal because she was a woman, she was brown, I was brown, like it was the first, and being that she was a mutant in a world that there was oppression towards mutants specifically, I really felt that as a hood kid. Mm-hmm. A brown hood kid, that really touched me. So it's Storm and T'Challa, although I don't necessarily ship Storm and T'Challa as a couple in the more recent iteration. That's a personal choice. But those have been my big two.
Real quick story. Sorry to jump on Storm. I love Storm. I love that X-Men. But when we screened this at the Pan African Film Festival, and one of the women in the audience was Iona Morris, who voiced Storm in the animated series, and she came up to me after. Yes, she came up to me afterwards. We talked about it, and then she directed it. She was like, "Oh, I'm putting together a short film. you want to help out? And so she directed that last year, and I was on set for that, and it was an amazing experience. But I love Storm, so anyways.
That makes me super excited.
I don't have any stories like that. All right, Manny. So who is your all-time favorite super villain?
I go Joker every time. I also cosplay Lady Joker. I know he's problematic AF, but I like a chaotic evil that's evil for evil's sake. And I also assign to the origin of him being I do assign to the origin that is aligned with Killing Joke, that he was just trying to do something for his family and it messed up and sent him down a path forever. So, yep, Joker's my dude.
Okay. All right. Last comic book that you read?
I'm going to go with reread because it had been a while, but I started recommending Bingo Love to everybody, which starts out as a digital comic and then became a graphic novel. But I'm going to say that it counts. Bingo Love is one of the sweetest comics that made me actually cry while I read it.
Oh, wow. That sounds great.
Yeah.
And for me,
what is your favorite character?
So it's weird because, like, Julian, just like you, I guess for all of us, it's like we have like our first, and then we like grow into, like, as we grow and mature, we realize, hey, this character really speaks to me. So for me, I started out, like, my very first comic book was my dad got me the 3-pack Spider-Man issues. So it was Spider-Man all the way until thwip. I was like all over the place trying to stick to walls and whatnot. So after that, it until it's like I ran into this young man named T'Challa. And I was like, this dude right here, he's smart. He's fearless. He's like really, really fun. Well, I don't know about fun, but he was really cool. So yeah, it was Spider-Man and Black Panther. My villains, I would say, are between Joker and Lex Luthor. It's weird because it's like the DC villains seem to
DC does villains better.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
will say that. Yeah. I am Marvel
Is that what it
mainly. I
is?
am ride or die Marvel, but I will say that DC does villains better.
I mean, it's just for Joker, my reason for like it was just this madness that could not be explained, and for Lex Luthor, it was this calculated hatred for someone who he perceived stealing his shine, and it's like, how is like everybody in love with him and he's not me, and that was, it was amazing. And the last comic book that I read, was Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer.
Yes. So we all went trade or graphic novel on this.
Right.
Alternative, yeah.
Right. All right, so that actually is going to be it for tonight. Julian, I really want to thank you again for coming on and talking with us and allowing us to share this amazing work of yours. Award-winning, by the way, award-winning. Yes. How many awards has Invincible Boy won? I know it's
not many. We got selected into a handful, a decent amount of festivals, but we did win one, which was at Comic-Con last year. We won best comics oriented film, which to me, it's like that's the best of the best.
That's a great one. Yeah.
That's what we're trying to hit. So I was really honored with that one.
And you screened at American Black Film Festival. You also screened at Pan-African Film Festival.
We may have been in the festival at the same time, actually.
Yeah, I mean that's like really, really impressive. Like the reach of the film, and just like Manny was saying earlier, how the cast is so diverse. There's so much reach there with the characters. and with their like ability to attract the interest of literally everybody. I just I can't say enough about this film other than wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
For
Yeah,
making
and
it.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for making this
Thank
movie.
you. Right. Thank you for making this movie.
Yeah. Thank you so much for, honestly, this is just getting to, you know, just one person talking to me about it and finding something special in it is really meaningful. So I really appreciate you just, I don't know how you found it, you just organically found it, but reaching out to me and setting this up, it's awesome. I hope, you know, whatever you're doing with Gulf Coast, like in your community, I just hope you just keep going and doing awesome things.
Thank you. Thank you. We'd actually, as soon as we get
the Rona calms
down.
down.
Done with Corona and our brick and mortar store opens, we would definitely love to have you as a guest and do like a live screening.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And
wow.
Chat it up.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and be sure to stay with us here at Gulf Coast Cosmos. You can, of course, check us out on all of our social media channels. Sharmane, you want to hit us up with our social media contacts?
We are on Twitter and Instagram at GCC Comics. So there's 3 C's. Oh, wait, is it backwards? My mirror, I don't know. It doesn't matter. GCC Comics, and that is for both Twitter and Instagram. And then you can, of course, follow us on Facebook at Gulf Coast Cosmos Comic Book Co. And then, of course, visit our website, gulfcoastcomics.com.
Yes, very good. And also, if you have an opportunity, check us out on YouTube. Definitely check us out on YouTube and like and subscribe us there. And Julian, if you would, please be so kind as to tell all of our watchers out there how they can follow your films and your work.
Sure, yeah. Invincibleboy.com, that's the website for the film if you want to watch it again or share it with anybody. I really encourage that.
Yes.
And it's just on YouTube. You could just search Invincible Boy and find it. And I have my own website, julianpark.com, and everything on my Twitter and Instagram is all linked there. So thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate
that. It's definitely a pleasure. All right, everyone. I want to make sure that everyone is enjoying their Labor Day weekend, but please make sure that you do it safely and just take care of yourselves. Be good to each other and find your own inner superhero. And we'll see you again next time. Good night.